Have you ever wondered how the story of an Invincible would go if Mark got his powers early and he started training from even before season 1? Well, today I'm going to explore a what if scenario of what if Mark got his powers 1 year early from the events of season 1. Well, let's say Cecil has been keeping tabs on Mark and he has been spying on him, waiting for him just to get his powers. And one day during summer break, Mark is working at a coffee shop and he tries to throw a garbage bag. And just like the show, it flies to space. And but this time it's 1 year early, right? 1 year before the events of season 1. So Cecil immediately shows up and starts talking to Mark, and he tells him to not tell his dad about his powers. Let's say, for the sake of the story, Mark accepts because, let's be honest, in the normal show, Mark would immediately tell his dad because why wouldn't he? He doesn't have any reason to distrust his dad. So let's say, for the sake of the story, Mark accepts Cecil's terms and they immediately start training Mark. Like, they start training him with speed, durability, strength. They start even inventing new machines, developing new technologies just to get Mark up to par. He, like, for the first 6 months, like, even when he gets back to school, he studies. When he doesn't even do anything other than training and studying. And since Omni-Man is still on Earth, he doesn't have to worry about any villains. Like, Omni-Man takes care of everything on Earth, so Mark is just free to train. Let's say for the first 6 months, Mark would probably get a 100% boost in strength, like 80% boost in speed, and like 80% boost in durability. And they keep like developing new technologies just to get Mark like to push more weights, to be faster. So after the 6 months, Mark gets like 100% stronger, and then he starts getting exponentially stronger because they find out that Viltrumites are kind of like Saiyans in a way, because every time their body gets pushed to its limits, they get stronger because like it's like an evolutionary type thing, because their body needs to get stronger to survive. So every time they try to push Mark's muscles to the breaking point, like every day Mark is tired, like he can barely walk. Omni-Man starts like doubting Mark a little bit, because why is Mark always tired? But he doesn't think much of it, because Mark, let's be honest, like he never told his dad that he got his powers, and Nolan doesn't have any reason to like doubt Mark. I think like Nolan of our story probably like trusts Mark and thinks he will tell him the moment he gets his powers. So we're getting close to the 1 year mark, and that's when the events of our story unfold. And let's say Mark gets to up to 100 and like 20% stronger and 80% faster, or 100% faster, like something close to that, which means he's like extremely proficient in his powers now. He's close to end of season 2 mark, probably beginning of season 1 mark, season 3 mark, excuse me. So At the end of the year, Mark gets in a huge fight with Cecil because Cecil wants him to keep it a secret from his dad, like even longer. And Mark is tired of keeping it a secret. He has no reason to not trust his dad. So he basically goes like against Cecil and tells him to stop trying to like control his life. I mean, Mark and Cecil will always fight. So, we reach the events of season one, and that's when Mark. Like is sitting on the dinner table and he's talking to his parents, and then he tells his dad, well, guess who got his powers? And Omni-Man says, are you sure? And the the memes, and the Omni-Man tells Mark, well, they'll go train tomorrow. And Mark says, okay, let's go train. So they wake up at 6 a.m. and they go train. And immediately Omni-Man notices that Mark, like, he can fly very well and he's not being slow, which is weird. Like when a Viltrumite gets his new powers, they're like babies. They're learning to walk, they're learning to fly. But Mark, he's flying like extremely well. So Omni-Man stops in the middle of them flying and he asks Mark, like, how long has he had his powers? Because no Viltrumite can fly this well out of the box. Like even elite Viltrumites have to learn how to fly. Mark gets really flustered and like nervous, so he just lies. He tells Nolan that he got his powers 3 weeks ago and he trained and wanted to like be good at his powers before he tells his dad. Nolan gets a little bit agitated, but he doesn't think much of it, and they like reach the place for sparring. Mark lands normally, and like Nolan is kind of proud that his son is like doing really well the moment he got his powers, because in Nolan's head, like Mark got his powers really, really late. So he's extremely late. Like the Viltrumites that get their powers this late are like low class Viltrumites. For example, like the people who get their powers early, like are considered elite Viltrumites. So Nolan asks Mark to spar with him. Mark uses like 10% of his actual power, which is still stronger than canon Mark in season one. Like, Mark has gotten really, really strong, So they start sparring, and Omni-Man's really like confused because Mark, like, he's dodging, he's fighting, he's throwing punches. Like, it looks like he's an actual superhero. He's an actual Viltrumite, but it makes no sense because he got his powers 3 weeks ago. So Nolan asks him, like, is he sure that he got his powers 3 weeks ago? And Mark says, yes. No way, like, I got them 3 weeks ago. So they keep sparring, and Nolan starts pushing him really, really hard. So Mark, like, out of like he's annoyed that he's being pushed this hard because he's only using 10% of his power. So he starts like using close to 20% of his powers. And now Omni-Man is really confused because jumping from 10% to 20%, I mean, that's like doubling his output power. If he was like punching, let's say like he punched a 5, now he's punching a 10, So Nolan's really confused how Mark just doubled his power like out of nowhere. He thought he was like going all out from the beginning. And he starts telling Mark, why were you holding back? And how are you this strong? Like, no Viltrumite that just got his powers is this strong, even if he's been training for 3 weeks. And Mark just says, I don't know. Well, I'm just this strong. So they keep sparring, and their spar like is long because Nolan is really annoyed that Mark is this strong and he pummels him really bad. Mark never goes beyond 20% because that would be really suspicious. So he just takes the punches. He just gets beat up on purpose. I mean, even at 100% right now, Mark can't beat Omni-Man. He's still much weaker than Omni-Man. Well, so they go back home. Mark is bruised up, but honestly, Mark has been getting addicted to getting stronger and like pushing his body to its limits. Like the Mark in this story that I'm like telling isn't really the same as Mark from canon. He's like Mark from this story is like a Saiyan. He loves training. He loves getting stronger and stronger and stronger. So, the events of the story continue, the Flaxen invasion, everything continues kind of the same because Mark is still holding back against most villains because let's be honest, Mark still doesn't want to kill. He's still like very 100% pure. He wants to save everyone, even the villains, even like the Sinclair. But when it comes to the Sinclair stuff, he kills the reanimated like dead corpses easily, and most of his fights like end easily until we kind of reach the point where Battle Beast, in canon, like he two shots Mark, but in this story, I'm just gonna make it so Battle Beast isn't even on Earth. Let me explain why. Because in the canon, Battle Beast two shot Mark, right? Like he saw him as a weakling that doesn't deserve like to die under his arms, and so Battle Beast like spared his life. But in this version, Mark would put up a fight. Like even if he's much weaker than Battle Beast, he would still put up a fight like a Viltrumite because he is like kinda a Viltrumite right now. Like he's a full-fledged Viltrumite at the age of like 17 or so. Because he's trained really hard. Like most Viltrumites don't really train like that because I don't know, they're just strong. But Mark has been trained and he's still training. Like to this day, like he's still pushing himself with Cecil. Like he never stopped, even after telling Nolan about his powers. So I'm just not gonna put Battle Beast here because Mark would probably get killed by Battle Beast because he would see him as a good opponent. So I'm just gonna assume Battle Beast never was working for Machine Head. Let's just assume that Mark took down Machine Head and Machine Head just went to prison like normal. Mark never had any trouble. Let's just say that. And the fights with Dr. Seismic and all of these people, they were just like a piece of cake to Mark. Most of that stuff has been a piece of cake to Mark, especially with keeping training. Like Mark has kept training. Like he's probably at 180% strength and like 140% speed. Like he's really strong right now. and like even to this day, Cecil is trying to like make new technology for Mark to push himself even more. I think Cecil in this story is working on a gravity chamber, yeah, like to push Mark even further and further. And he even sends Mark to space to like to increase his durability, gets closer to the sun to see how much he can withstand, and like etc. Like he's really pushing Mark to his limits, and Mark is really getting pushed to his limits, and he's breaking them. Like he's getting stronger and stronger and stronger. Like Mark right now is like stronger than like all the weak Voltrumites in the Voltrum army. Like he's close to the mid range and close to the mid high range. He's definitely not as strong as Nolan or Conquest, so far, but he's getting close. Like he's getting really close. So the events of the show keep happening, and Nolan gets like insane. He kills the Guardian of the Galaxy, and at the end of it, he gets confronted by Mark, and their fight is completely different from the show because Mark using 100% of his power against Omni-Man is like insane. It's close to season 3 versus Conquest damage. Like the damage is gonna be insane on these cities, like even more than before. So Powerplex is gonna love the current Mark. He's gonna hate him. And the fight won't be just one sided. This time Mark is fighting really hard to like convince his dad that he's in the wrong. Like he's trying to like he's trying to put his dad down and tell him that no, you're wrong. But Nolan is still much stronger than our current Mark, but he's getting punched. Like Nolan is bleeding, he's getting bruised, but Mark Nolan has to go 100% now just to like show Mark that he's much stronger than him. And we get the same result as season 1 finale, but this time Nolan is extremely hurt. Like he is really hurt, and Mark's face is destroyed. We get the same like what would you have after 500 years, and Mark would say I'd have you. Nolan would escape Earth, and Mark would get fixed up, and he would get a huge like power boost from that. Like right now, end of season 1 enhanced Mark from this story is close to season 3 Mark who fought Conquest, you know? He's really strong. So in season 2, like a lot of stuff so much is gonna be different. But I think I'll end this video here, and I'll probably work on part 2 later. If you like this video, please share it with people. I'd really like that. And please subscribe to the channel. And if you want more, like the video. This has been a pleasure to tell. I'll talk to you guys later. Goodbye.